and welcome to the Omen Path podcast, where we've got a nice, exciting one today, haven't we, Dom? Lots to talk about. How are you doing? You all right?
Oh, yes, I'm good. Yeah, we've also got a magnificent special guest with us.
Yes, we do.
Manadork John. Welcome.
How you doing,
Hey,
Dom?
yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah.
It's been on. Your name has been on the list for a long time to come and join us, and it's good you finally getting on here. How you doing? You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Yeah, excited to be here. I've not been running in a little while, but when I do run, I have the Omen Paths and my other MTG Friends podcast on as well. When I'm doing my long runs, it's always nice to listen to my friends talk about Magic, you know?
Flattery gets you everywhere, mate.
That's why I'm here, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing how I have people that speak, and they're exactly the same. They sort of apologetically sort of say we have it on in the background, but it's not because we're not listening, but it's the perfect time to listen while you're driving, doing work or something like that, which is great because this is exactly that's what the whole idea of the pod is.
Yeah, I get to be involved in a conversation and not speak to a single person. It's right there on my sort of social awkwardness score. It's right there.
It's perfect. Yeah, exactly. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Look, for anyone that doesn't know, tell us about yourself and your projects you're involved in.
So I am Manadork John on the internet. I've done loads of different types of content. I started off in Magic. I'm going to show my age here, folks, but all the way back in Odyssey, I was a big fan of like Chain of Dementia Master and the Cabal and all the story with Jessica and stuff. It really got me hooked. And then I'd say fairly recently, but it's probably not quite so recently now, I started making Magic the Gathering content, started writing articles for Magic Madhouse and Cool Stuff Inc. I went on a year and decided to do a daily deck tech for every day of the year, which let me advise you, don't do that. It was fun up until a point, and then after a while, it was like my brain just sort of couldn't think of anything else other than commander cards.
Sure.
Saw them in my sleep. And now I host a weekly EDH stream on Twitch called Brazencoalitiongames. We do variations on EDH. It is an EDH stream, but we do homebrew, we do CEDH, PDH, chat chaos once a month, which is a lot of fun. We do charity streams, all of that stuff.
Nice. That is quite a variety of content, and so let's go right back to the beginning then. So obviously you've kind of given the game away a little bit there, but what got you into Magic, and what was your first sets then?
So my first set was actually Core Set 7, but it's not, I'd come in right with the How to Play Magic set. My brother actually had a friend called Ivan. I've forgotten his last name, but he was the one who got my brother into Magic, who then got me into Magic.
Nice.
And we were playing it very wrong, let me tell you, because we didn't. When you tap a land, we actually just pressed the land because we were like, we weren't really. I was like 12 maybe or something, and didn't really have a book, and he didn't show you, so like you need to tap mana. Like, okay, we've done that now. And then I quickly got engrossed in it. I really liked the story with Kamal and Jessica and Chaina, and how it led up to Corona and all that stuff. It was such a wide set. This is when Slivers was reintroduced in Legion and Onslaught. So when I got into Commander, I had a Sliver deck as the first deck I'd built because I had everything from the old school stuff, and then immediately realized why people hate Slivers.
Yeah.
So we stripped that back.
Realized you'd crossed the line and decided to step back from it.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want to be my friend anymore. I wonder why that is.
I played against a Pauper Sliver deck the other day, and
wow.
You spend a bit of time where you forget these things, and admittedly he had an absolute god tier hand, and it was a horrific start to my game. But anyway, all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, what was it? Flanking. I think he had a Sliver that gives other Slivers flanking. I was like,
yeah, I know about one.
I was like, oh my god, like how do I play around this? It's like you don't. You just have to kill it. And I'm like,
That's the neat part.
But if I remember rightly, I think it effectively gives it, because when it makes contact, it effectively gives the -1/-1 as first strike.
That's right, yeah.
So when everything is small, they're just, if you're going to trade with 1/1s, it's like, no, yours dies first.
No, you're not actually, as it goes.
It's brutal. And when every single sliver has got it, and then they start popping, +1/+1 on other slivers, it become, all of a sudden, I was like, oh, this is starting to get to board wipe or bust area. And I can, look, believe it or not, I was not playing board wipes.
Slivers are definitely a unique tribe because they're all lords, aren't they? So
right.
You get 1 or 2 down, fine. The third one comes down, you're like, it's getting a bit spicy now.
Yeah, right. Like elves are like infamous, and then slivers are like, hold my beer, folks. Like,
exactly. It's definitely one of those tribal decks that I think people kind of go, yeah, that'll be fun, play it, and then all of a sudden, like I said to you, they realise, oh yeah, I've overstepped the social mark here, but I won't play it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so has you played continuously then? Have you had any time away from Magic, or have you been constant?
I did have a break. Me and my brother stopped playing after Mirrodin, but that's simply because when the school I went to, there was only my brother who played Magic, so there wasn't really any scene where we was. So we stopped briefly, and then I started again when I started working for this company, and there was like a Magic the Gathering club that they have. Wow. One of the co-hosts of Brazencoalitiongames, Martin, was part of that group, and we went down to this hotel every Friday and played Commander. Or there was a Chaos Commander draft as well that one of my friends organized. So he made 60 card Commander decks out of his chafe, and then bring booster packs, and you would draft the rest of your deck based on what you'd been given in this
nice.
60 card chafe. It was cool.
That sounds really cool, actually.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. Okay, so you really have had a long relationship with Magic then, haven't you?
Oh yeah, real long.
Yeah, it's
need the paracetamol long.
I was going to say like a long marriage long, but
oh, kind of, yeah.
Well, like every marriage, there's roughs and smooths. Anyway, that's
exactly.
Awesome. So you got a good depth of unlike me with my fledgling comings to Magic, which I say fledgling. Obviously, Eldraine was my first full release.
That's not new anymore, mate.
I know, that's the problem. That's the problem. You look back,
it feels like it, but it's not.
Yeah, so it's like, I think that's 2019. I think it was. So I now sit there and think, oh yeah, actually, I've been playing quite a bit of time. Someone actually said to me the other day, we were it doesn't really matter. I was involved in somewhere, and someone said, "Oh, how long have you been playing Magic?" I was like, not that long. And then I sort of mentioned it, and in your head, you kind of go, "Oh, actually, that's quite a while."
Yeah, that's longer than I realised. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. It sort of builds up to it. Awesome. So your stream, John, tell us about this, because so obviously we've been on a few times. I've been on playing some CDH and absolutely love playing on the stream. What made you want to host stream, and tell us a little bit more about the stream itself, and any plans for the future you want to do with it?
So the stream very much is focused around bringing kitchen table energy to Twitch, basically. I just wanted to find an excuse so that I could play Magic with my friends once a week. And this felt like a really good way to do it. So when we organize games with people who are cool in the community that we really want to highlight. So we try to get people from Warrior Mediate yourselves and people that we love and people that we want to play games with, and just hang out, tell dumb dad jokes, and just have a good time. It's like no saltiness, because we're just all friends having a fun time. That's the whole point of it. So, and that's what we hope we bring to it. It's just like a couple of people around the kitchen table having a game of Commander, having a good time. Yeah.
That's perfect, and that's kind of what it really should be all about. Dom, it sounds like I need to bring an Azorius deck next time I come on. Then he won't be quite saying.
No. There's always one.
Yeah, it's normally me. Yeah, there is. Yeah, it is normally me, unfortunately. Absolutely. So, I've obviously you've done some fantastic charity streams. Is that
Yes.
is that something that you? It sounds very really silly. You know, well, I think most people in the community like to support charities and things like that. But do you have a particular reason? I know some of the charities you've done, you've got close ties. You've got more streams, charity streams up and coming or planning.
Yes, so last year we hosted a weekend-long streamathon, Friday all the way through to Sunday, for Magic Games with various content creators like yourselves. We had Play to Win on. We had loads of people on. It was a lot of fun, and we was raising money that weekend for the MS Society. MS is a autoimmune disease that affects loads of people. It's a neurological one. That means that it affects people in different ways, but most symptoms are losing motor function in some way, general fatigue, and it can either have minimal or quite a large impact. And my wife has been diagnosed with MS for, how long have I been married now? We've been married a long time. So she's been diagnosed for nearly 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And she's lived with it basically throughout her entire relationship. She's had she has relapse and remitting type of MS, which means that most of the time she'll not have any symptoms, but when she does go through a relapse, it really floors at her. And she's had ones where she's been basically immobile for months, and then some that where she's had minimal impact, but it has impacted her. And it's not really widely discussed, because whilst it impacts thousands of people, it's so wide-ranging, and the symptoms can be overarching in many different fields. It's quite hard to pin down. So last year, we really wanted to make a big effort to support a charity that was clearly really close to my heart. Any charity that you donate to with the MS Society goes straight into research funding. So it's really important that we could do that. This year, we will be doing another charity streamathon in the summertime. We haven't got a charity named yet, but we're doing some research because of the situation, especially in the States. We wanted to support our trans friends and LGBTQT friends, and so we're going to look into supporting some trans charities, possibly in the UK, because we are a UK-based content creator and streamers, but doesn't mean it has to be. But not being in that in that area myself, I don't know the charities that are reputable, so we're doing some research into that. So if anybody knows of any reputable trans charities, please let me know, and we'll reach out and get something sorted.
I think doing anything for charity is always a noble thing to do. We live in a day and an age where we all have our own struggles and we all have our own troubles. So to do something for something else, even if it is that you have a close connection, or even if you don't have a close connection, I think is always a good thing. It just, charities majority go off of kindness and people's charity, so they're very important. Yeah. And I don't personally know anybody with MS. I do have a friend that's wife has MS, and I actually saw him the other day, and he was saying she's been bedbound for a couple of months now, which was actually quite shocking to me, because exactly what you've just sort of said, it's not really spoke about. It's there's the old school visions, unfortunately, of MS of someone just needs to man up and carry on. It's not that at all, and it's important that it's discussed, and it's really great that you've been able to do that, and do something for charity and for them as well. So I take my hat off to you, and it was a fantastic event, and I was very, very I was very humbled that you invited me to get involved in it as well, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was a good stream for a good cause as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, we were absolutely honoured to get you on as well. Like I said, we love you guys. We love having you on. That's why we get you on as often as we can. So we are absolutely humbled that so many members of our community reached out and said, yeah, sign me up for that. It was, really special.
I know there's lots of communities in the world, Magic the Gathering communities. I honestly do think we've got such a good one in the UK. It's such a tight-knit community. It's so friendly. Everybody is always happy to help each other out. And I think we're so lucky in that respect. I really, really do.
Yeah, when I met most of you in Barcelona for the first time, and I came over by myself. I didn't know anybody really, but everyone, he was so welcoming. Everyone was like, treated me as though I was a long known friend immediately, like just welcomed me in with like this, like a big hug. It was wonderful. Definitely have like, there's a sense of belonging in our sphere for sure.
100%. It is truly a fantastic community. We are very, very blessed to have some very kind and some very interesting creators out there as well. We were just talking pre-recording this. Actually, I noticed over, you can't see it in a minute, but over the top of John's head there was a Fender sticker. So we got talking about music, and right
just,
up there. And we were just having a conversation about this, and it's surprising. And obviously, anyone that's watching, you can see over Don's left shoulder there's a bass guitar behind him. I play bass, and so does John, which is really interesting because there's a lot. Actually, weirdly, in the UK, I was just saying to John earlier, in the UK community, there's weirdly a lot of bass players, and it's so good because. And I always say this about Magic. We are all, I don't mean this in a derogatory term, but we are all nerds coming together to play the game that we love.
That's not a derogatory term. Wear that honor wear that badge with honor. Yeah.
Me too. Me too as well.
My entire online persona is a dad joke. Manadork is man, I'm a dork. That's the entire joke.
Exactly. And if anyone thinks differently, then they can just bugger off, can't they? No, fantastic. I particularly have enjoyed doing the CDH events with you guys recently as well. I always love playing CDH, and any opportunity, I always jump in it.
Yeah, I actually... Go on, Dom, sorry.
Go on, Dom.
No, so I was saying on Friday Night Magic recently, I bust out my Tivit and did the old time sieve combo after getting a Manadork out and doubling all my tokens. That was...
Oh, baby. Yep, chef's kiss.
Yeah, I've been running Hashaton recently. That's so much fun.
This is the zombie commander.
I think when the community works out how to beat it, it will not be good. It will be like Quinota, but right now it's quite good. But I did my first CDH qualifier event in Huddersfield.
That's right.
A couple of weeks back, and I didn't do great, but I didn't do terrible. Like to say like it was my first event and my first time playing like CDH after CDH game. I did way better than I expected, but I did 0-3-1, but I presented like threats all the time. I don't really feel like there was a place where I didn't interact when I shouldn't have interacted. So yeah, I've definitely learned a lot, but it's exhausting, those events. So people who win them are definitely on some other level for sure.
Oh yeah.
It's interesting how much it takes out of you, isn't it? Having to think about your plays in kind of a more strategic way than maybe casual commander. It's like actually you're looking around, you're seeing who's got mana open. Are they going to try and win on the next turn? Do I hold up this removal or try and advance my own board?
Yeah,
it's everything you're having to think about is quite mentally draining. So yeah, you did well. It's like because it's 4-player, right? It's like actually. You're still 25% to win, right? So actually, a 0-3-1 is honestly fine, you know.
Yeah. There was a Kinnan player who got a turn 2 win in my first game because they got Basalt Monolith and Treasure Vault down on turn 2 and just went,
wow.
Got it.
It's like unless you got a free counter spell, really you're like.
Yeah, well, he was in seat 3 and I was in seat 4, and I'd got Hashaton out and I'd had LED out and I'd tutored Elish Norn to the top of my deck ready to like just turn it off, and I was just a turn too late, but I was like gonna get him. Didn't happen.
That's the way it goes sometimes.
If there's one thing
how it goes.
If there's one thing I have particularly enjoyed about my venture into the CDH world is that I've rightly or wrongly, that sometimes it has a perception, I think a negative perception, but actually I found when I've got involved with CDH, the community have been incredibly helpful, inviting in many ways. Obviously, these are guys that want to win. That is the format. But even when you play games with the same players outside of competitions, I think is probably the best way of putting it, there is always open conversations. There is there's a lot of sort of like base tuition actually, but even probably within your competition, you know, it's one of those things I think is really underrated. Walking into CDHs, actually talking to your opponents is massive. You know, politicsing in CDH is almost as important as the cards in your hand. And how did you find going into that event? Like, did you find the event very inviting, or did you find it a bit?
It was really inviting. Chris, who organizes the event, is a wonderful human all round.
100%. 100%. Yeah,
he's such a lovely man. But yeah, I was like, I know I'm quite chatty now, but I'm quite a nervous person at some of these events. Sometimes I can get in my own head, especially like when I'm doing something I've not done before. I'm out of my comfort zone, and the community went out of their way again to make me feel welcome, which is really nice, especially like at an event where you're in it to win it, and like but being pleasant to somebody doesn't lower your chances of it, really, does it? It's just,
I know.
It was a lovely event. I learned so much, and I'm really glad that this is definitely the year where I'm going to try and play more competitive EDH, and I'm really glad I got a chance to do that.
Yeah,
hopefully it'll be another.
I was going to say, if you can go to a competitive event, lose, and still have had fun and enjoyed it, there's not much more you can honestly ask for.
Exactly.
I also Alex, you'll probably know this, but I like to trade up into like fancy cards. When we went to Command Fest, I traded up into that Plateau. Yeah. Or this time I managed to trade up into a Mox Opal and an Ancient Tomb, both foil. It was yeah.
Nice. So, Ancient foil. Okay,
yeah. I did well.
Yeah, I the same as you, John. I have wanted to do some more competitive events this year, but particularly CDH. So I know the Huddersfield event is run by Chris Halbrand, I think is his online handle, and I've spent a bit of time with him at CDH events and even outside of it, and he is a great guy, and he's also he's a fantastic person to go and approach if you're new to CDH, because he's very the community is very inviting, but you know, Chris will sit you down and just really like give you that confidence, you know, playing next to him or across. It gives you that confidence that, you know, he is there to win, but he will give you all the information that you might not know if you're new to the format. So it just means it gives you a helping hand to start looking out for certain flags, certain markers. I mean, I honestly, I love CDH, and the same as you have wanted to play more. Unfortunately, the first one I was really trying to commit to is also on the same date as the up and coming Action event, so I was a bit like, no.
Yeah.
So depending on what happens there will depend on what I do. There's also a Pauper event that's going on at the same weekend as well, so I might try and do a bit of all three, but I don't know. That I'm stretching myself very thin at that moment in time.
You stretch yourself very thin there, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I don't do things by half measures, but I definitely. But
what about Omen Paths BCG? Do CEDH Axion? That sounds like a match.
Yeah, that does sound pretty good. Actually, I know that the Action events have been. Well, the last one I went to, there was plenty of CDH being played, and it was good to see it played at these big events. Actually, I love seeing it. It's almost like it's starting to be a bit more popularized, and I think it's a really good thing, because it is such a good format, and I know it's very easy. I've had people sort of say, "Oh, it's just full of sweaty players." It's like, it really is not. Honestly,
just because I'm sweaty, it doesn't mean we all are. Just me.
See, this is the problem with me in competitive play. I'm not a competitive person at all. And because of that, I already have a really steep learning curve ahead of me. I love it. It's good fun.
Do you know what? I'm very much in the same sort of boat, because I've been doing this Twitch stream for so long. I'm usually building decks with the stream in mind, so it's got less board wipes than usual. It has less game changes than usual, because I'm not trying to show that sort of stuff off. But CEDH is like all game changes all the time.
Oh yeah. If there's one thing I'd particularly say about CDH I really, really love, I love a good old fashioned stack interaction. And CDH has that stack interaction. Like the game, the stream that we had not that long ago together, there wasn't a massive amount of interactions, but when it happened, it was thick and fast, and it was really nice. I love a good old-fashioned interaction.
Yeah, I was like, we need to have a discussion now, because if this resolves, and Wally was like trying to win repeatedly, no, we need to stop this.
But again, like obviously we all know Wally is a fantastic guy, but he was blatantly obvious. He said, "Look, guys, I'm trying to win. This is the moment. All cards on the table. This is exactly what it is.
Can you stop it? If not, I win the game."
Exactly. And we all clubbed together and clubbed him down. And unfortunately, we spent all our resources. So then when you started to kick off, it's
I won.
Exactly. Yeah. But sometimes that's what happens in CDH. That
is what happens. Yeah.
Sometimes that's the game.
Toxel was backbreaking. I think.
Oh my god! Once that hit the deck, that pretty much turned my deck off, because I didn't have enough of the artifacts to keep going. So as soon as my Manadorks were down, I was just like, I'm out. I'm limping forward. But...
Good luck.
Yeah,
I could get Kinnan out, but he'll be dead by your next turn. So
yeah, I was just praying for that kill spell. But obviously, him with Hashton is brutal after that. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it really is. But it's fantastic.
Because he doesn't exile it or anything, you can recur it back.
Yeah. It's like Paducah Bog or bust, really, in that scenario, isn't it? Or you've got to start exiling, or something that exiles cards, which you can see in certain decks, but equally, anyway. See how that all goes. But yeah, CDH.
One last thing about CDH we should say is that most of them are proxy friendly events.
100%.
So which is really good, because a lot of the game pieces are mega expensive. You couldn't really realistically afford to play it all the time otherwise. So
you could print off
anyone listening who wants to get into. Yeah, I mean, I traded a lot into it.
Don't you apologise, John? There's nothing to apologise. Just Dom being Dom there.
Proud of that.
There's nothing wrong with that as well. I'm proud. Yeah. I'm absolutely proud of my CG text, particularly my Urza deck. That is it's not
your
my best.
Urza deck is so good.
But that's the thing. It's really nice. I've been very lucky enough to have some great opportunities to get some really nice cards, and unfortunately, a lot of these cards you can't really play in casual Commander because they're just too disgusting. So,
they're really strong.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a great idea, and as much as, like I said, my Kinnan is probably more stronger than my Urza deck, but my Urza deck was my first. I do love playing it. Yes, it stacks, but I do love playing it.
That's how you play Kinnan.
Pretty much.
Sorry, Urza, not Kinnan.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that is how exactly how you play it. Whereas my Kinnan is more of a I've got the pieces. I'm just going to try and vomit out and go for the win, really.
All we can hope for is that both of those cards come off the game change list and slide onto the ban list, can't we?
Wash your filthy mouth out. I still remember. I still have the. I'm going to have to upgrade it because no one lets me play. But the budget deck that you built me, not last Christmas, but the Christmas before, which was Kinnan.
Yeah.
This sicko put in Intruder Alarm, and I was like, so good.
Hey, I just thought to myself, I do you know what? I loved building that deck. I really did. And it's funny how I don't know if I've told this on the pod, actually, because how I started building that deck is I was gonna build you a Kenrith deck, and it was gonna be like Kenrith, King of the Manadorks. I wanted to lean into the Manadork sort of thing.
Nice.
But it went into, I started looking, and I was like, well, I've basically got most of the really good Manadorks are all in green, and there's a couple in blue. And when I started to look at it, and I supported it with some artifacts as well, I just sat down, I was like, this is a Kinnan deck in the making. And so, and it kind of built together. And then the problem is, once you start building Kinnan, there's no soft way of building Kinnan, so you kind of really lean into it.
No.
But even with the budget, I saw Intruder Alarm, and I was like, that's hilarious.
It's so funny. Yeah. I immediately took it to our LGS, and it's a budget deck. I don't think it can be that strong. And then I play it okay, it's that strong.
Yeah.
Intruder Alarm is so sick.
There may have been a budget involved in building that deck, but there was definitely no moral budget, that's for sure.
Morally bankrupt.
Yeah. That's how I build my decks.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I build my decks as well. Why not? Hey, why not? Yeah, no, I'm glad. Actually, I know you've told me many times over the years, but I'm glad you really enjoyed that. I love building that deck actually, and that Secret Santa is always good fun, isn't it? Always good fun.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, just another reason why the UK content creators.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah, it's really good. Cool. Okay, look. So, we are recording this on Tuesday, the 18th of March, which is the first official day where we start to get previews for the latest set, Tarkir Dragonstorm. Oh, boys, I've been so looking forward to this. I really have. I've been so excited for this. Dom, what are your feelings on this set? You've been looking forward to this one?
Yeah, we've gone through detectives, racing cars, furries. We're finally back on a plane. We did get the Ixalan set, which I did enjoy. Yeah, but apart from that, it's all been a bunch of memes. And I'm just so happy we're going back to a real plane, I guess, in inverted commas.
Yeah. What are dragons if they are not just fire-breathing, scaly furries, Dom?
Yeah, no, they're...
I'm going to upset so many communities with bad
called scalies, aren't they? That's the...
Scalies.
Someone who's online. I have unfortunately learned that term. So I'm just really happy to be returning to a plane that I really enjoyed last time we visited. And a lot's happened off screen since we were there, story wise, for sure. But there's dragons, there's the clans, all of the good stuff from Tarkir. It's coming back.
Woohoo! Oh yeah. Baby. What about you, John? You looking forward to this one as well?
I am very much looking forward to this. I'm going to be a little. It's not controversial at all, but honestly, I wasn't that sold on this set because Final Fantasy is coming out and I am like eagle visioned on that. I'm so excited for that. And then the story came out and the story was like really well written, and then the cards were coming out like, oh, all right, no, I'm in, you've got me.
Back on the hype train.
Yeah, he's back on. He stepped off. He put one foot on the platform, Dom, one on the train, and then he saw the hype and he was like, straight back on.
Straight on it, yeah.
Yeah, this for me has been fantastic. Like, so for me, well, two things. I mean, I wasn't playing Magic when we were in the Tarkir block, but I have since been playing Commander. Been playing a lot of cards from the Tarkir block, and I've always enjoyed playing them. I really love the idea of the plane, the dragons, the clans. Like, there's some really good stories behind them. Some really good cards in those blocks. Yeah. So I've been so looking forward to coming back to it. And I'm going to be honest with you as well. I know Dom sort of said it right as well. We've had the detective plane. We've had the we've had those type of. I'm not going to call them mean sets, but do you know what I mean? They are
sets. So everyone's wearing a cowboy hat or a detective hat, and even characters that maybe shouldn't be. So call it a hat set.
Sure. I mean, look, I actually didn't mind Thunder Junction. I know the joke is it's the cowboy set and that sort of stuff, but I actually think there was far worse. But I think also it's come at a really good time for me because we've got, like you said, we've got Final Fantasy coming up. We're about to hit, we've got fast approaching. Marvel. We've got Spider-Man. Yeah, so we're going to be into a lot of universes beyond sets coming forward, and we've just had all of that. Basically, we've had all of that sort of pre-used and spoilt and discussed right over the top of Tarkir, which has, until recently, in my opinion, gone a bit under the radar. Actually, I think it's really nice. I don't want to sound funny here, but it's really nice to be going towards a Magic the Gathering, like an in-universes set that has got such potential, and we've started to see some of the cards being released, and my God, the hype is just building. And well, I don't even think it is hype. I literally think it's genuine excitement. I think people are excited for this. I really do.
I think so too. I was talking to one of the other co-hosts, Joe, just before we started recording, and genuinely, this is going to be an impactful set. You can just see it. There's some impactful reprints. There's some just genuinely impactful cards that are going to see play across multiple formats. It's going to be a good set. This is definitely not one to miss.
I agree, 100% agree. And it'll be interesting. I've been wanting to build a Miram deck for a little bit, and
oh, you sicko!
Yeah, well, I know.
When Miram came out, it was the D&D set, wasn't it? Basically,
that's right. Yeah,
I built it with all of the terrible dragonkin, dragons without flying, the lizard people from D&D.
Yeah.
And it was still horrendously powerful.
It's still
That's the thing, isn't it? Sometimes with these commanders, like I was sort of saying with Kinnan earlier, it's the same as with Kenrith as well. You can't really build like a low power version of them, can you?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So if you can't do it, lean into it.
Actually. No, I don't think it does count. I just had a rules for, but I'm not going to say it because it'll spoil what we're talking about later, but also I might be totally wrong. So keep a gob shut.
We'll come on to that one a little bit later. Look, so we've all, I think we can generally say that we're all pretty much looking forward to it, and we've now sort of, just like I said, starting to come into spoilers. Today was the day where we start to really start to meet on the bone of some of this, including some of the mechanics, which are quite interesting, actually. It's
big fan of some of these mechanics. I could definitely see, especially from like a commander player perspective, I could see this being. There's a lot of well, it's focused on the Khans, isn't it? So, and I think they all bring a really interesting dynamic. It sort of reminds me of Strixhaven. When we had the different colleges and they have different abilities attached to that, and that was wonderful. This is feeling very much the same for me.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, that the Khans are effectively the clans of Tarkir. I believe it's like Abzan, Jeskai, Sultai, Mardu, Tima. I think that's the lot. I'm always terrible with the names, but I'm always terrible with these names. And I tell you what, talking to Strixhaven, it was one of those ones I was like, I'm sorry, I'm invested because I really did enjoy the set, but I'm never going to remember those names. The school.
It's interesting because it's like the clans, they stuck in everyone's mind that you call those three color pairing.
Yeah.
I want to say pairings, but it's not. It's 3-color wedges.
Yeah.
You name them after the clans because the set was that impactful.
100%. Yeah. Well, it obviously wasn't the first sets, but this is kind of one of the first ones when we really started to see the original fetch lands make a big splash. Really, I know not all of them were released in this, but this is when we started to get.
Actually, this wasn't when they were first released. They were first released in one of the sets I was in. Because I remember that I still have the original Bloodstained Maya, and I pulled it. I was like, this is a terrible card. Why would I pay 1 life and a land to just get a land? I'll just put a land in. It actually turns out they're really good.
I remember having this very conversation with one of the guys that works at our LGSP. Actually, I sat down with him. We were talking about what was the non-basic fetch? Sorry, the basic land fetch in Wilds of Eldraine. Not Wilds of Eldraine, sorry.
Fabled Passage?
Fabled Passage, right. So we were initially talking about Fabled Passage, and I sort of said to him, I was like, I just don't understand. I just don't understand like how it all works. Then we moved on to fetches, and I was exactly the same. I was like, why would you spend 1 mana? Like, I could just put my island in here, and I was a very new player. And then I started to learn, but actually in that scenario, paying 1 life to go get that land that actually you may really, really need is really powerful. And never look back from that. Because of my lack of knowledge of all the sets, I always associate is it Khans of Tarkir? Is that the one where we had the fetch lads?
I'm pretty sure it's the Khans.
Yeah, I think it was. So I always associate this with the first one, but actually I was doing a bit of research yesterday and I looked onto Scryfall and I was looking at Flooded Strand with the original. I was like, oh, these weren't the original ones actually. So
no, they were in Legion, I think.
These are the first modern border printings, were they?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And obviously we've not seen anything since. And there was a little part of me, I knew it weren't going to happen, and I'm kind of glad it didn't. But there was a little part of me that was a bit like, if they bring fetchers back into standard, and then I put my normal cap of brain on, and I went, nah, that's never going to happen.
No.
That would be crazy. But it's still
I mean, they even pre-banned them in Pioneer, didn't they, just to keep them out of the format?
Exactly.
Too much shuffling.
Oh, they are fantastic.
That should tell you how good they are. If we're already like, we're not including it.
Yeah.
But I have a sneak. This is like going completely off a tangent. But I have a sneaking suspicion we might get some shocks in Edge of Eternities. Just the arts are very reminiscent of Unfinity, the land, and they had them there. So it wouldn't surprise me if they had shocks or shock adjacent in those
maybe
places.
as a special guest. Yeah.
I could see them as special guests. Yeah, 100%. I mean, so obviously we'll talk a bit more about this later, but they actually have in Tarkir, they actually have a special guest spot for the fetchers. So it's a great, again, more reprints of these cards. I mean, thankfully we've had a decent amount of reprints of fetchers recently, so those prices have really come down, which is really, really good to see. But yeah, I think the more that they print these cards, particularly the shocks and the fetches, which are they're not the most expensive, but they are known as some of the more expensive of the lot. Let's have a little talk about these mechanics. Don, why don't you work us off with one of the first ones? So we're working off one of the Wizards news, talking about the mechanics, working our way through. So why don't we pile our way down and you take us off with the first one?
Yeah.
Okay, so they've centered these mechanics in the clan. So the first one they introduced is Endure, which is in the Abzan, which is the white, black, green clan. And what Endure does is, so the example I've given, it's a 6-mana creature, reach and 4/4. When this creature enters, it endures 3. What that means is you can either put 3 +1/+1 counters on it, or you can create a 3/3 white spirit creature token. So you're either making a spirit equal to the endure value, or you're pumping that creature with +1/+1 counters.
Yeah.
So depending what you need at the time, gives you that option. So this one is when it enters. There's other ones when various creatures or other things happen, this creature will endure. So
I think the fact that is enter, I think, is quite interesting. Like you sort of said.
Yeah.
This would be a 6-mana 7/7 with reach. If you just choose to put the counters on it.
Yeah. Or if
this could be
Go on, John.
Go on. No, you're right. I was just saying it could be a bomb in limited. That's all I was going to say.
I was going to say I feel like this is like
a common as well.
Yeah, I was going to say it's crazy, isn't it? I think this in limited could be really, really, really quite good.
It will be. Yeah.
I also like the fact that if you want your big 7/7, it's fantastic. Or if you just need to go a bit wider, I mean, a 4/4. I mean, don't get me wrong. 6 mana for a 4/4 is quite expensive, but
with reach,
that's good. Well, with reach, yeah. But equally, if you decide, well, actually, I need to go a bit wider, not too tall, a 3/3 is not to be sniffed at either, is it? Let's be honest.
I would say in a set filled with dragons, reach is probably, if not the most relevant.
I think you are very, very correct there. And all of a sudden, having a 7/7 reach, that's gonna
you can block a dragon.
Yeah, that's gonna start blocking a dragon, which could be massive, couldn't it? Really, let's be honest.
Yeah, who wins? One scaly boy or one elephant?
One druid.
Elephant druid, yeah.
I do like
famously can reach.
Yeah.
It's the
just
trunk.
using its massive trunk.
It's the trunk. I do love that. Interesting. We see what happens. I think as we start to see more cards with endures, I think there could be some really interesting cards come out of that. It's quite interesting. It's piqued my interest. I'll read the next one. Next one down is Flurry, which is the Jeskai one, which reads, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. So the example they've given us is a Devoted Duelist. It's a 2-mana, 2/1 with haste. I mean, that's a little low to the ground, but I tell you what, 1 damage in a spell slinger. I think this could be. I tell you where this might go really, really nicely. you know I can't remember the last time you played this, Dom, but my Ozia deck, my burn deck, which will do damage. This would be really good in that because you cast a spell. That's not 1 damage. That's its power. It's the power of Ozia. So.
This is. I was going to say
this is very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that deals
very good
damage without having to connect in combat is just good anyway. Casting 2 spells isn't a high bar.
No.
In standard for red deck wins, you plot the weird bird from Thunder Junction. You cast this, and then you cast that. You trigger, and then you can also then pump this with the. I've forgotten the name of it. It's the
Monstrous Rage.
It's got a bear on it. Monstrous Rage. Yeah. You do this. It's got it haste. This is very good. It'll be in all red deck win decks.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
I think this. I think you're both right. This is going to be. I think we're going to be seeing quite a bit of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Being in Jeskai, you're in blue, red, and white, so it's the colours that want to cast spells anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. I think like obviously it's an additional payoff, but I mean if you've got sort of prowess as well, which you're wanting to cast spells,
Oh yeah.
This could be. I mean, we at the minute in quite a few formats actually, we're already seeing a very aggressive mono red decks coming out that are always a bit under the radar, and boy, they punch real quick.
You just had all the otters.
Yeah,
all the otters from Bloomberry with the prowess. It's getting dangerous out there.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that I've seen a few times is that these type of decks, they almost just get it, but they're just a few life off. You get this down early days, that could be the difference. And you think this could be, and again, it's common as well. It's a fantastic card at common.
Yeah.
I would say, the only caveat they've given is that each flurry will have a different effect. They won't all be damage related, but and they can only trigger once each turn, because obviously you can only ever cast your second spell once in a turn. So.
Which is important to know, but I still think, I think we're going to be seeing some cards like this in standard be really quite prominent.
Yeah, I think so too, for sure.
Even in something like I think so. I've been playing a bit of Pauper recently, so I've kind of got half an eye on Pauper cards.
Common.
Yeah, I think
that goes in Pauper for sure. I think it'd be good in PDH as well.
Yeah, I was literally about to say the same thing.
I run a Stormcatch Mentor list, which is actually just basically an Is It Voltron deck, because it gets stronger when you cast instants and sorceries. But that could certainly go in there.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, all the examples in this article are commons, and actually these are some are quite powerful actually. So
that's interesting.
John, do you want to do the next one?
Yeah. Yeah, so the third one is from the Sultai clan, and which is blue, black, and green, and this is Renew. So Renew lets us pay, and it's a activated ability for some mana, and we exile the card from your graveyard to have an effect. So the card that we've got here is Agent of Kotis. For 1 and a blue, it's a 2/1 human rogue, and Renew 3 and a blue. We exile this card from our graveyard and put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature, activate only as a sorcery. And this is in the colours, most likely to rummage through a graveyard. This is great. This is often I find when I'm playing mill decks that I am often putting in cards to bridge the gap between what cards I want in the bin and what cards need to go with it. If this goes into the bin while I'm looking for my big BT Villis or whatever, I'm not upset to lose this. It goes with it's great with Sir Conrad's sort of strategies. It's this effect, the activate only as a sorcery. Those are the 5 words that bring me the deepest sorrow.
Yeah, but it also brings the power level down from not busted, but from exceptionally good to playable. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, this is still very good. And also, actually, I've not really clocked onto this, but I can't think of many blue cards that put counters on stuff. Like this, it's usually
between.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. I didn't even think about that.
Blue proliferate for sure, but but green are usually the ones that put the counters on in that sort of color pairing. So it's interesting that we're sort of moving towards blue.
There's a little bit of crossover, and notably these cards have the clan
yes
print on them, watermark, so you can see that they're from that clan. Yeah,
I do like
so
that.
Kind of crossed over the color a little bit, actually. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. I'll a little bit of a tangent, but not so much. You know, we were talking about the original Tarkir set. Did you notice? And this is really like, I love the I love the stories, but like the detail of it when it comes to this sort of thing. Salimgar, who takes over Sultai, has Sidisi as a necklace, like in the art, and that is so gnarly as
wow,
it's so gnarly.
This is one of the dragons. Yeah,
he's wearing Tasiga as a necklace.
As a necklace. It's like classic dragon.
Yeah, it's always cool to have that type of little. It's almost like a little Easter egg sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, off screen again, just going a little bit further down that path, is that obviously the story is advanced and the clans are kind of back, but they've also got recruited the spirit dragons to fight alongside them.
Yeah.
So that'll be I would check out the story. I would advise people to do that.
The story is
really
excellent.
Cool. But yeah, we'll be seeing a lot of dragons, and the way the clans operate have changed slightly. Some of them as well, so they've had to adapt.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see. Actually, yeah.
Interesting. Dom, do you want to grab the next one?
Yeah. So this is the Mardu mechanic, which is called Mobilize. So we're in the red, white, and black clan, and Mobilize. This is it's quite simple, but I would say it's very powerful. So the example I've given, it's in white, 4 mana, 3/3 with flying, and Mobilize 1. That's whenever this creature attacks, you create a tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature token, and you sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So you get to keep it for the rest of your turn. If it survives, you can sacrifice it to get value, which is black, obviously. You've got all these spells you can sack it, draw a couple of cards.
Extra combats.
Yeah, extra combats. So every time you attack, you're going to get more.
For token doublers.
Yeah.
You get it all, really.
It's going to be great. And the fact you get to keep them until the end step and they're not just sacrificed at the end of combat like a lot of these effects just makes it even more powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're tapped and attacking, right? So they can. So what people might not know is when you create something that is tapped and attacking, it can be attacking any target. So like a Planeswalker or a different player than, if you're playing multiplayer, it could be attacking a totally different player to the initial creature as well. So it's always powerful.
I mean,
yeah, it's also really good with impact tremor effects as well. You attack with this, you've got 4 power on the board, and you've dealt an extra 1 to everybody. It's gonna.
And then in Mardu, maybe you've got some aristocrats fact that you can sack it and everyone lose another life, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Then
I just started blasting.
Yeah,
exactly.
So this is Mobilize 1, but obviously there are cards with Mobilize 2 or more. So
I think
we'll see.
What more? What you don't really want much more than that, really, for this. Really, I think it's multi-layered, and it's only a 1/1, but if someone's got to either block a 1/1 or take an extra 1, that all adds up. And let's be honest, it's a free attack.
If you got any kind of anthem as well, it starts getting out of control.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's interesting. I kind of like this, and it also really seems like it's leaning into that like attacking type of deck, which is it's never a bad thing.
Mardu's fit, really. Yeah. Like remember Ishin? That was like that's I think probably still one of the most popular Mardu commanders, and this fits right in there.
Yeah,
definitely. Yep.
This isn't terrible. It's pretty good. Be interesting to see what more comes of this one. I'll read off the next one. So we've got the teamer mechanic now called Harmonize. The example we've got here is Roma's Routine, which is a sorcery for 3 mana. Search your library for a basic land, put it into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Or you can play its harmonized cost. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its harmonized cost. You may tap a creature you control to reduce its cost by X, where X is its power of the then exile this spell. So again, what you were saying earlier, John.
So good.
When this is in
with cost reduction, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So good.
And even just by itself,
this is a cultivate anyway. And if you are running, you're in green, you're gonna have big boys.
Yeah.
This is great. You're gonna get 2 lands off this, it's really good.
Well, so I was gonna say exactly. It's a slightly more expensive ramp, but more importantly, it's another card in your graveyard where you're probably playing this in a type of deck that cares about that. But even if you're not, you can still reduce the cost, and you get yourself another ramp spell. I mean, it'd be interesting.
It's in limited as well to get the land that you need, right? It's like, actually, I'll get all 3 of my colours this turn. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Just by tapping this creature. And this is the common version. Obviously, there'll be more powerful cards with better effects on it. So.
Yeah, there's another one in the list that is a bounce spell, which is again really good.
I think it's interesting as well here is that there isn't your favourite words on here, John. It doesn't say play as sorcery. So
it is a sorcery, but you're right.
It is a sorcery. You are right.
It is a sorcery, but there are going to be instances that
there
you
will
can
be.
do.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was the point I was about to make.
That makes me feel. It fills my heart with joy. Watsy fills my heart. I love. Let me do degenerate stuff.
Exactly. I love instants. And I love playing at instant speed. But what's even better playing at instant speed? Being able to play that instant speed from your graveyard again.
Exactly. Surprise.
Exactly. Fantastic. Okay, so John, do you want to take the next mechanic here? This is cool. I like this one.
Next one is a cool one. I'm a big fan of this one as well. This is Omens. And it seems that we're going to get these specifically on Dragon cards because it's to do with the Dragon Storms. And it's essentially like adventure. You have a creature on one side and then you have another side, which is an instant or a sorcery that has an omen effect. And you can cast it for this effect. And when you do, if it resolves, then you shuffle the card back into your library. So the one we've got here is a Durga Island Dragon, which is a 4/4 for 5 and a blue with flying and ward 2. Or we can, for its omen side, for 1 and a blue, cast it as an instant called Skimmering Strike, which says tap up to 1 target creature, draw a card. These are great.
Yeah.
These are great.
These are cool.
I think there's something to be said about it not being an adventure, but with in the right deck, these going back into your deck means you can cast them again as their omens. If it goes on an adventure, that's often a one-time thing, unless you cast a creature, it dies, and you somehow get it back to your hand.
Mm-hmm.
You can draw this again and recast the instant as many times as you want. Yeah. It's great.
I think actually sometimes you do just need a shuffle, right?
Yeah.
And it provides that as well.
I was about
to shuffle your library.
I was about to say that. Yep. Sometimes
brainstorm locks. This would be great. Yeah.
Yep. Talking of Pauper, I had that on Saturday when I went to play some Pauper. There was a couple of times cast my brainstorm was like, God, I'd love to be able to shuffle here because these are not good. Yeah.
Traditionally you would use a fetch land of some kind, wouldn't you? In or other format, maybe not Pauper, but
I can't remember what I was thinking.
Well, there's Evolving Wilds.
Yeah, I was thinking of Evolving Wilds. Is Terramorphic Expanse? I think I was maybe.
Terramorphic Expanse is one. I feel like there's one more. The one from the detective set. I've forgotten what it is, but there's one in the Murders at Karlov Manor one where you can sack it for a basic land, or you can make a creature unblockable.
Yes, you are right.
Yes.
I can't remember what they're called, but
Escape Tunnel. Is it?
Yes, Access Tunnel. No, I think you're right. I think it is Escape Tunnel.
Access Tunnel is another one.
Someone in the comments will be shouting at us.
Yeah, screaming.
They're both ones, I think. Yeah. Access Tunnel, you can pay 3, tap it, and a creature can't be blocked. Whereas the other one, you sacrifice it to give them unblockable. Yeah, very cool.
Also mentioning this dragon. Obviously, I know it's 6 mana for a 4/4, but we're seeing more ward, which I like a bit of ward.
I like ward too, but I mean ward 2 is effectively you're not getting rid of that because it's unless you've got something that says spells can't be countered,
or you've got a 7/7 with reach.
Well, yeah, you've got 7/7. Yeah,
The elephant is gonna do that. But look, I know ward can be tricksy and can be very, very frustrating. But actually, for something like, I mean, let's be honest. If this was just a straight 6 mana 4/4 with flying, this isn't going to see outside of limiter. I mean, this is going to see too much, is it? Really? It's
Omen was very good, but the fact it's a common, right? It's great. It's a late game in a limited game. Actually, a 4/4 flyer can quite happily end the game.
It's a relevant body, and I think this does probably go in some pauper EDH decks as well that care about. It definitely in a control environment.
Yeah.
I think this sees
happening a creature and drawing a card for 2 mana is honestly fine.
I mean, that's actually I'd probably put this. Yeah, I would probably put this actually in my Stormcatch Mentor deck because it reduces the instant side by 1. So blue, tap a creature, draw a card. At instant speed is great, and then I've got a beta later. I think it probably does go in there.
Yeah, even if you never cast the dragon, right? Every time it's going to get shuffled back in, and you can just continue casting it to draw cards and tap the creatures.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's not bad shout at all, is it? Okay, Dom, next one. Do you want to take Behold?
Right. So yes, Behold.
Behold.
This is so spells that as an additional cost to cast them, you either behold a dragon, which is you choose a dragon you control. So if you've got one on your board already, you can use that, or you can reveal a dragon card from your hand. So if it's early in the game, I'll show this one in my hand that I haven't cast yet. If it's late in the game, you might have one on the board, and you can just point to that and say, "Behold," and you get this cost reduction. So the example I give is Caustic Exhale, which is 1 black. And so if you don't have a dragon in your hand or on the board, this would be 2 mana. But if you manage to pay the Behold cost, then it's just 1 mana. Gives a target creature -3/-3 until end of turn.
I mean, -3/-3 is huge.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Most creatures.
That is huge.
I think notably as well, -3/-3 as well can get around some other mechanics as well, because it's -3 counters instead of, say, straight damage.
Yeah,
so you can kill indestructible creatures with this and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Also, because it'll probably come up, you choose the dragon, you don't target. So if someone removes the dragon in response, you have still beholden the dragon.
Yeah,
and it's not target. So Shroud and stuff don't care about this.
You can choose the dragon that you've accidentally put your lightning greaves on.
Yes, you can.
It's a classic. You've got one creature, they've got the Shroud boots on, and suddenly you can't do what you want to because you need another creature to move the boots off. This, you're choosing. That is very notable. Yeah.
That always helps as well. And also, obviously you want to be having. This would probably be. I think the card is fine by itself, but equally, if you've got Dragon Tribal, or you've got some dragons in the deck. I mean, having a cost reduction, 1 mana for a -3/-3 to end of turn for target creature, it's even better, that is, isn't it?
That is really quite powerful. Do you know what this is actually quite good in as well? If you are in changelings for whatever reason, because obviously they're all creature types. So this is obviously my EDH brain going, but if in my Atrata deck, I built the Atrata from Karlov Manor, and a lot of that is actually cheap changelings, and this can go in there because even though whilst I don't technically have dragons, I've got the changeling outcasts, I've got the automaton, they count as dragons, and -3/-3 gets rid of so much. That's huge.
This is an instant as well.
Yeah,
it's like you can mess up the block. Yeah,
I was thinking the exact same of this in my my Halloween Reaper King deck. because I've made that as just changelings because I want them all to be scarecrows.
Cool.
So actually, you kind of sit there and you think, actually, this isn't a bad piece of removal to have in there. So
this goes in Toma's Morathon deck. Have you played against that? That's really funny.
Just
He's got
kindred.
Yeah, he's basically got one of each creature type in that deck, so it's not like dedicated to one creature type. So, but everything is slivers and everything is elves. Everything is.
that can get out of hand pretty quickly. Yeah, that's a good card. I like this one. So we have the return. I'm sure we've had other stuff that I can't quite remember now, but we're having monocolored hybrid mana returning. So,
well, the Reaper King, right?
Yeah, that's talking of the Reaper King.
Yeah.
So, this is always really quite interesting, particularly when there's multiple colors knocking around. We've all been in that position. You know, you've got a tricolored commander or a tricolored card you want to hand, and you just don't have one of those colors, and it's always frustrating as all hell. Whereas the payoff to this one is, so with a tricolored hybrid mana, you can either pay your black mana. So the example I'm looking at here is Gurmag's Night Witch, which is either, so it's 3 tricolor, so it's either 1 swamp or 1 black mana, or 2 generic, 1 green, 2 generic, or 1 blue or 2 generic. So, I mean, it gives a bit of flexibility. You probably wouldn't want to pay 6 mana for this, but you have the flexibility that if you really needed to cast this and you don't have the mana needed, the payoff is there, but the downside is you have to pay a bit more mana for it. So just a bit more flexibility, which I always really like when I build decks. What do you think to this one, Dom?
I think, I mean, you can pay anywhere from 3 to 6 mana for this, depending which colours you have available. Mm-hmm. If someone's played Blood Moon, you can still cast it.
Yep. No, it's a fair point, and that's
it's in the colours. 3 mana for a 3/3. Brilliant. Honestly, it's got other text in it as well that fits into that clan. So it's when it enters, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Yeah, you may put one of those cards back on top of your library and put the rest in the graveyard. Brilliant. So straight away, then you're feeding those harmonized cards we talked about earlier, aren't you? So if you can,
and notably as well, because the 2 colorless is colorless, anything that reduces your casting cost by 1 colorless will choose one of those things, right? It'll be so you could do 1 colorless green blue or something.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, 100%. Talking of putting things into your graveyard, John, why don't you finish up with the last mechanic that they've been talking about in this piece?
So this is a mechanic we all love, especially if you are a graveyard sicko like me. Surveil is back. Is now an evergreen mechanic. I thought it was an evergreen mechanic before, but WotC have said this is now an evergreen mechanic. And Surveil is like Scry, but better in my opinion. So you get to look at the top card of your library, and then you can either put it on back or put it in your graveyard. The example that we've got here is Boulderborn Dragon, which is a 3/3 flying vigilance for 5 generic mana. And whenever this creature attacks, you surveil 1. I think this is great. I mean, 5 generic mana, this is very easy to cast if you need a body out. And surveil is card advantage. It's that, if you were given a choice of the Scry lands or for the Surveil lands, you'd pick the Surveil lands every time because you are removing a card that you don't need. It's great.
Yeah. But you're not losing it as well because it's going in your graveyard. There are ways you can bring it out. Right? Whereas Scry, if it's coming to the bottom, there's not many ways you can access it unless you've got a tutor. Right?
Yeah.
But putting it in your graveyard, brilliant. And also, it feeds into some of these other cards where actually it might have been a renew card, and then you can just straight away activate its renew ability from the graveyard and pump this dragon up, and suddenly it's a 5/5. Well,
that's feeling,
that's true.
I'm feeling like this set. There's lots of graveyard payoffs and some graveyard mechanics knocking around here. I'm liking the sound and feel of this. This set is starting to. reading through some of this has actually made me more excited, not less.
Yeah, right. It's really hard not to be.
Sometimes
like,
mechanics.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you read through some of the mechanics of a set and you're a bit like, yeah, that's fine, that's just nice. But actually, I think all of these are pretty good. You know, I wouldn't. Well, I think these are all pretty good mechanics. To be fair, solid.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of all of this stuff. I think as Commander players, there are ways that we can use these in either decks that we have currently built, or we can build around these in new ways. Mobilize is going to be great in any sort of attacking strategies like mono white weenies, or token doublers, or aristocrats.
Yeah, I think that's going to be
We've
great.
got Harmonize, I think, is great for teamer sort of colors, because you often have big creatures and you're not generally running many non-creature spells. So the ones that you'd have need to be impactful. And the fact that you can basically cast this twice, once at a reduced rate, that's really good. Do you know what it made me think of a bit? It made me think that it's almost like Convoke, because you're tapping a creature. It's not quite Convoke, it's not as good as Convoke, but it's not far off.
Convoke often pays you off, don't they? So each creature that convoked it gets some kind of benefit. Whereas actually this, if you've got one huge creature, it's better for this, right? So you can just tap that and reduce the cost to almost nothing.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can keep your dorks up to do some blocking, and you can tap your big boy to do what you need it to do, yeah.
Yeah, it's like Convoke for going tall rather than wide, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some generally good. I think Flurry is going to be good. I'm looking forward to seeing more of this. Oh, maybe. It's going to be good. Okay, so we spoke about the mechanics. Let's start talking about some of the cards. Now, there is a massive list of cards that they announced today, so we're all going to pick...
so many.
Oh, yeah, and actually, I'll tell you what, before we start talking about individual cards, I want to step in and I want to talk about, first of all, the artwork on some of these cards, and secondly of all, some of the borders on these cards, because these are all fantastic.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, man, honestly.
If
makes
me
feel things.
Yeah, if there's ever a set where you've just thought, again, to me, like what you were saying earlier, we've kind of gone back to, quote unquote, a bit of a proper Magic the Gathering plane, and we're really getting that proper artwork back. I mean, this is all very atmospheric. I always like to look in the background of cards, particularly when there's lots going on and things are really, really busy, because you'll always notice a little detail, a little something. And, there's a lot of cards here where there's so much going on, but actually, if you look at some of the fine detail, you'll see some really interesting things. Good, solid colors as well. Very, I don't think you don't really look at any of these colors and think, oh yeah, we're not on a plane full of dragons and whatnot. I think some of this artwork is absolutely beautiful. What do you guys think?
There's already some really cool artworks. There was one that was spoiled right at the start of this that made me like my heart flutter with joy, and it was I need to find it because I've forgotten the name. It was Smile at Death, which has Alesha in as an avatar, and it's so cool. Just the art, like the effect is cool as well, but the way that it's just like Alesha like inspiring the Mardu tribe is so cool.
It's I'm excited to see more of this. But the one thing, well, there's lots of things I want to talk about quickly, but they've the borderless arts that we've had spoiled so far. So a lot of them are commander cards, admittedly, but I mean, some of these, man, these are beautiful cards.
Some of these,
some of these are so good.
Also, we should talk about the full art basic lands, because there's two types.
Yes.
There's the Dragon Eyes and the Dragon Shadows, and they both look so sick.
I know, they both look incredible. So it's one of those things where I found in recent sets, particularly when it comes to the basic lands, the full art ones anyway, one is a bit more noticeably better than the other one. And I suppose you could arguably say, like, the Dragon Eyes ones, for anyone that's listening to this, go check them out because they are so vibrant. That the artwork is absolutely incredible. If you've got a phobia of eyes, maybe not the thing for you to go and search out.
Yeah, maybe not.
These are probably not the things for you because they are very obviously a dragon's eye, but they are absolutely stunning. But even the other alternatives, like you said, the dragon shadow ones, they are so cool. They are so cool. They really are
so cool. Both of them sort of like when you first look at them as well is it sort of does give you a sense of being watched. Like obviously the eyes one because it's there, but the looming shadow, it's very Skyrim-y sense where you're like, 100%. Oh, here it comes. It's cool.
Yeah. So for those people who are listening and haven't seen these yet, so the dragon's eye one, it's literally a close up of the eye of the dragon, and the pupils are the mana symbols.
Yeah.
And obviously all the dragons are the colours of the mana. They're kind of cool. I think the island is the best one because it looks the most like an actual eye.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like the plains one. Actually, is kind of cool as well.
Yep.
But they're all brilliant.
I actually really like the red and the black ones.
Okay.
Because you're right. The island looks more traditionally like a dragon eye, but the black one definitely looks like an undead dragon to me. Like,
I think people find homes for all of these. Honestly, if you got a dragon deck, brilliant.
My only small gripe would be with the plains is it's not quite as clear coloured as the other one. So the white is actually more of a very pale pink. Pink and purple is the predominant colours, which I really, really like. It reminds me actually of like I don't know if you play 40k, John, but it reminds me of the Tyranids a little bit. Like that sort of real sort of like multi-blade feel and look to it, which I really, really like. I think this is obvious enough that you'd put it down on the ground and you'd know it'd be tapping for a white mana. But there is just that little crossover. Yeah. I do always like to point out with some of them because some of the cards we've seen in the past, certain colours are not quite so clear that it'd be a black or a white or a blue or something like that.
Well, it's obviously white when you see it next to the others. Certainly.
Yeah. It reminds me of and I think it's just because I mentioned Skyrim, but the bone armor you could get from
I know exactly what
DLCs.
You mean.
It reminds me of that in a big way.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
No one likes a forest then.
They've also revealed as a play promo a wastes as well, which is
that looks cool as well.
Eye, I guess.
Yeah.
I suppose you're probably right there. Noticeably as well, while we're talking about lands, these are a special guest slot, so don't get too excited. But they have reprinted fetch lands, which is always a good thing to see in any set.
Mythic special guests, so good luck is all I would say.
Yeah, they've only announced 5 of them. I assume they're going to do the others 5 at some point. But this is great. I think whenever they reprint fetches, it's a wonderful thing. Do you remember when they did the Fetcher's Secret Lair?
Yes.
And it was £200 for 5 cards.
Yikes. Oh.
Actual insanity. And
the Mythic editions, weren't they? They were cool.
Yeah, it was actual insanity. But now fetches, they're still expensive cards, don't get me wrong, but they're way more affordable.
They're so much less than they were. They are so much less.
It should be that way. These are game pieces, people.
I think it's becoming easier as they do release more and more cards. That obviously a lot of those cards will pick up what they call their reprint equity, so they can afford to keep reprinting these kind of more basic game pieces that everyone needs. Right? It's just a bad feel when you're spending all your money on your deck on a fetch land that you might need for your deck to work, especially if it's like a landfall deck or something, something like that.
So interestingly enough, so they have, I can't remember, are these the allied fetches? I can't quite remember. I always get mixed up.
No, they're enemy fetches, I think.
Yeah.
These are the enemy ones. Okay.
Like the Boros and...
That's right. But interestingly enough, they've got 2 different artworks for each one. So the Misty Rainforest has got 2, and Scalding Tarn's got 2, and so on and so forth. And I'm just looking at it. They are all fantastic. I mean, particularly
they look great.
The Scalding Tarns. are really sort of like a distance view of basically mountains with like watery areas. So there's one we're looking at. It looks like a bit like there's like a single. It almost looks like a Japanese blossom, or something coming up. It's absolutely stunning bit of work. I mean, it's all really nice. But
what they said on stream is for those alternate fetches is that one of them is like embodies the clan, and the other is the area after a bloody battle with like one of the other clans to show that there is still conflict happening on the plane.
Oh, that's why the marsh flats looks like that. That is definitely like after the battlefield. But Verdant Catacombs, that's got a nice throwback because it's got the reliquary tower in there.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool.
Yeah. There's some these are all fantastic. I mean, I was literally about to say the Misty Rainforest looks good, but of course they do. Like, they all look fantastic. Arid Mesa. Again, I always sort of say to people, look in the backgrounds of all of these cards. And if you particularly the Arid Mesa, it looks almost a little bit plain at first. But actually, you look in the skies, you see the multiple dragons like flying around. The detail is small, but that is really cool. Absolutely love this.
They've gone out of their way to put into the background like there's obviously dragon storms, what's called dragon storms going on, which is on the plane of Tarkir. Dragons aren't born from eggs; they are created within these dragon storms, and it's like a cool feature of the plane. And you can see some of these going on. A lot of the cards in the set, obviously, it's called Tarkir Dragon Storm. So all these storms are going crazy. The Omen Pass, of course, is a problem, and there's a lot of dragons. So the clans are up against it.
Before we move on to some cards, I just want to mention the showcase versions of these cards.
But some really pretty ones.
Oh, my,
So,
go on, Dom.
So, of all of these cards, so what you can get in Play Boosters this set is the Draconic kind of borders, the Dragon's Presence basic lands, which is the shadows. So they're the ones where you got the dragons flying over, you can see the shadow. You've got borderless reversible cards and the borderless clan cards, which they're like the background is pure black, but where the clan symbol is, you've got the colors coming through. They're really cool. Some of them look excellent. And you can get the special guests in non-foil. The rest are collector booster only. So the Dragon's Eye basics, extended art cards, the Ghost Fire, which you're about to talk about, and the Halo foiled Ghost Fires. Serialized headliner card, which is the Mox, isn't it? It's the serialized version.
Yes,
1 in 500. And the Dragon Scale foils and foil only special guests all come from the collector boosters.
So those foils are so we've only sort of seen a brief video of them, but they look really stunning. Like, they are really, really cool. You definitely should, if you're listening to this, you should definitely go check them out. The particular borders I want to talk about is the borders with the dragons, coloured dragons around them. I don't know if they've got a certain name. You'll probably know more so than myself, Dom, but they're so good. They remind me a little bit of the alternative art adventure cards from Throne of Eldraine. That real sort of like hand-drawn sort of like art style.
These are dragon scale ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think these are actually just the plain frames. You know, like they do a special plain frame, don't they, for each one? And I'm sure, I don't have the deck to hand, but I'm sure this has got the same or similar frame as my Zergo and Ojutai card.
Right.
So I think that's what it's referencing. You know, like you've got the Avishkar Inventions frame, or you've got the Ravnica one where it's sort of like buildings and stuff. I think that's what that's supposed to be.
Yeah, 100%. It's this is definitely seems like a set that is full of beautiful arts, awesome borders, and some interesting. I'm looking forward to getting those foils in hand, because the problem is with these special types of foils, I've found sometimes you get them in your hand and they don't look quite as good, and sometimes you get them in person and they just look phenomenal. Like, some of them have just been absolute chefs.
That definitely happened with the Aetherdrift ones, where they looked just bright yellow when they previewed them. But actually,
wee coloured frames.
It's like in person they were a lot better. I'm still not sure I'm 100% sold on them, but they did look vastly superior to the previews.
I agree with you. Yeah.
So,
They are.
They do look better in
quite-
person, but
They are
some of
definitely in
them
a quiet
still.
taste.
Some of them still made me think of Innistrad double feature, like Gas Guzzler. They've just put a yellow hue over it, and it looks terrible.
Yeah. I feel like that. I don't. I feel like the differences between these borders with these two sets are completely different. And I tell you what, these Tarkir ones, I'm all on board for. Like, I'm absolutely.
The clan cards are probably the easiest to read treatments they've done in a long time.
Yeah.
Because where all the text is, it's just solid black. So it's just white on black. Yeah.
So
like reading
and
on GeoCities,
I think this is really clever because what they've done is they've taken. It's meant to be like Chinese brush strokes of kanji, and they've sort of got some of the clan symbols in. So, when we talk about it later, you can sort of see like the stroke of the soul tie, the top of it in some of these cards. It's cool.
Yeah. And the background is like a brush of color rather than actual background. It's definitely as if someone has painted this.
I was going to mention these because actually, I think if we're looking at these now, and as a solid color, and they look fine. I think these are foil. These are going to look really good. I've got a feeling that the foil. I always think when you look at Magic the Gathering cards, I always think that some foil treatments really make the art pop, and some don't quite work.
Yes,
we've had a mix with them. I look at these and I think to myself, because it's quite, it's subtle. I'm going to say it's a bit minimalist, but it's not really in the true term of minimalist, because you're dead right. The brush strokes, you can see those strokes really, really beautifully. And I think in foil, they're going to pop so well. I've got a really good feeling about them. I think they're going to look fantastic. I can't wait to get my hands on them.
I agree as well. I think, in foil, these are really going to stand out.
Yeah, I think, 100%. These are going to pop. I can just feel it in my bones.
It'd be interesting to see what it looks. We've never had really cards that are just pure black, I guess, in this way.
Well, let's hope we don't get the opposite effect of what we had with the gold. Which is exactly. Like I said, it's very easy to see a picture on a digital screen about this, but when you get them physically in your hand, sometimes these can look a bit dull, and sometimes they can look bright. But I don't know. I think this is going to really pop because of that black. I think you'll get almost like a rainbowy foil over the top of that, and then underneath with the color will really pop. I've got a good feeling about these.
Yeah,
beautiful, excellent. Right, we're all excited about artwork, which I thoroughly love. Okay, guys, let's cherry pick some cards we can talk about. We'll do sort of 3 each, and then we'll start to wrap up. John, as you are our lovely guest, I'll let you choose the first card. Which one has particularly caught your eye?
I'd be remiss to not talk about Ewin, or as he's better known, Ugin, Eye of the Storms. This is insane. I cannot believe this exists, but it's 7 generic mana for the 7 loyalty planeswalker that has the static text. When you cast this spell, exile up to 1 target permanent that's 1 or more colors. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, exile up to 1 other target permanent that's 1 or more colors. That on its own is insane, especially in colorless decks.
Yeah.
Then for +2, you gain 3 life and draw a card. 0, you add 3 colorless mana. And for 11, which is not going to be hard to do because you're exiling everybody's stuff, you search your library for any number of colorless non-land cards, exile them, shuffle your deck, and until end of turn, you can cast those without paying anything mana. That is insane. And it's so good.
Yeah, this goes in any kind of mono green Eldrazi deck where you actually bring season, you bring this down -11, the game is over. My goodness.
This is the chase card for this set because it goes in. Everybody has like a colorless deck. Like my mate Joe has the Capitalian Triad, goes in there because it's great. Goes in any Eldrazi deck, goes in Urza's Battle Thopter deck, just goes in them because it's 7 generic. goes in my Jeskai Super Friends deck because it's generic mana. It's so easy to do. I'm not casting much colorless spells, but the gain 3 life and draw a card is still
that's phenomenal.
relevant.
Any artifact deck will want this.
Any
right?
artifact deck, yeah.
I'm currently building an artifact deck, and I saw this and I thought, oh, hello, that will go nicely in there. I think
this is so good.
We spoke about this before the pod. We've started to record this, but generally, as a rule of thumb, Ugins have always been quite powerful planeswalkers, and this is not broken the mold. I think actually, this could probably be the most powerful. I don't know, maybe one of the most powerful Ugins we've seen. But
the ability is a cast trigger, like a lot of Eldrazi means. That's going to happen, right?
Yeah,
that is gonna. Yeah, this is a cast trigger, and where before it was a negative loyalty ability to exile stuff. If you have lots of 0 drops like Ornithopter, or you have Phyrexian Walker, or there's a bunch of 0 cheap drops. If they are free path to exiles. It is insane, and it's permanent. It's anything. It's enchantments. It's lands. It's anything. Nothing is safe with this card.
Although lands notably have no color. So they would.
That is true.
Yeah. So they're kind of safe. Although there are ways to give them color with some blue cards.
There is. Yeah, that is also very, very true. Yeah, this is phenomenal. Also, just while we're looking at this as well, lots of different art styles as well. These are really pretty card. You can tell this is going to be quite a chase
Halo
card.
is cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like some of these look absolutely brilliant. Beautiful, beautiful cards. Very, very powerful. That +2 gain 3 life and draw a card. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
9 loyalty is not easy to chew through.
It's not. It's
No, this is
good.
This is going to be a very targetable planeswalker as well. This is going to be that type that you're going to have to get rid of this real quick as well.
Yeah, otherwise it's ending the game like the next turn
pretty quickly.
Easily.
Yeah, I think this is ended pretty quickly. Obviously it is seven mana, 7 generic mana, but in a colorless deck, that's not as difficult as it sounds.
No, because you're using artifacts. Turn 2, you often have 3 mana straight away. It's not difficult.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. If you're really lucky, you could have your, land, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet. Next one, you could put Fran Dynamo down. Like, do you know what I mean? You did, an artifacts deck, you get into this quite quickly, or can do.
The fact that the 0 adds 3 colors straight away, you can cast another artifact, right? And then that's 2 of their permanents exiled, and they're like, broken.
Exactly. And if it's a colorless spell, that could be more mana ramp. You're also exiling something else. Like, honestly, you are off to the races if this hits the deck. This is fantastic. Really, really is. Dom, what's your first choice? Your first pick, sorry.
So I'm going to go a bit slightly lower power, but it's a card that I think is actually really good, and it's Duty Beyond Death. So it's 1 generic and 1 white. It's an instant, and there's additional cost to cast it. You sacrifice a creature, but it gives creature you control gain indestructible until end of turn, and you put +1/+1 counter on each creature you control.
This is very good.
This is backbreaking.
Yeah, this is very good.
Swings out suddenly. All your creatures get bigger and indestructible. You get some great blocks. And you can do this after blocks are declared, right? So you can be sacrificing a creature that's already blocked one of theirs as well to pay the extra cost. And suddenly your board's all bigger. All your creatures survive, and you can just, very good for 2 mana.
This is insane. I really enjoy the fact that we haven't had, as far as I know, I'm sure someone in the comments will correct me, but a white card that cares about sacrificing. In fact, I can think of one, Martyr's Cause, and that is the only one I can think of.
Isn't there? But that's about it.
But there's not much in white that cares about sacrificing, and this is great because it doesn't care about the creature is non-token. In white, you're often making little weirdos to sacrifice for stuff. This is perfect.
There's definitely some aristocrat themes around some of these mechanics and some of these cards that we've been seeing and talking about. Like, I think, there's going to be some we've got more cards to see. It wouldn't surprise me if we see some more. There's definitely some playable cards here. Well, more than playable cards. There's definitely some like auto includes into some of those like aristocrat sort of commander decks. Like, you know, there's gonna be some good stuff. It's a great one as well.
I've got 3 decks I want this in, like just this card. Like this is the power of this set. There's like loads of cards that I think this goes in this goes in this, but like they can go in multiple decks for sure.
Yeah. This is an uncommon, right? It's not going to be expensive to buy either. So
no.
But I would speculate that this is one of the sort of uncommons that increase in value to over the £3 mark.
Because you might be right. Yeah,
creature, he protects your board for very cheap.
It really is. Yeah, exactly. It really does. I mean, there's so many different ways you can utilize this. I mean, it's just great defensive as also great offensive as well. So
yeah,
it's multiple
this
use.
Will be a pricey card. This will be like sink into stupor.
Yeah, that's really good. Interesting artwork as well. I like the pinky guy. It's like
yeah.
I'm wondering if he's the one getting saved or the one that's getting sacrificed.
Could be, yeah.
I mean, his face says he's getting sacrificed, but you know, I'd love if someone wrote some lore or story behind this bit of artwork. That'd be fantastic. Okay, mine number 1. I'm gonna go for a really obvious one. It got spoiled a while back. We have another Mox joining the clan. So Mox Jasper, 0 mana, legendary artifact. Add 1 mana of color. Activate if you only control a dragon. I mean, okay, I think there's some good design with this, because you see a 0 mana artifact and it's very easy to go, oh god, here we go, this is busted, and you know. But I think there's some clever design here because of the stipulation. Activate early if you control a dragon. Now, if you're building a dragon's deck, you could probably get this online really, really, really quickly.
The changing decks we spoke about previously.
Yeah, that as
well. They want this, right?
Yeah, 100%. I also think we were talking about this when we talk about CDH. This may even see a spot in say like my Urza deck. Now, the only stipulation down to that is if Urza isn't on a battlefield, you can't quite utilize it as well as you can do. But that deck is about artifacts, not about, you know, do you know what I mean? So actually, you want Urza out, and once Urza's out, you're
this is still a 0 cost artifact to give you affinity or you know, numerous other things. There's ways to tap it.
Yep.
Just because you don't have a dragon doesn't mean it's useless, right?
No, 100% not.
Yeah.
No, 100% not. I think this is going to be. I think this is going to see some play. I don't think it's going to see a massive amount of play. Like I said, I think we always think of the Moxers. They are extraordinarily powerful, and there's a reason why. They're banned in a lot and restricted in even in some of the best, most powerful formats. But yeah, this is an interesting one for me anyway. But interestingly enough as well is that, you know, we've had some very powerful artifacts banned recently, and okay, this isn't quite as powerful as them, but we are now introducing more of that. Maybe not quite as powerful, but there's a decent level of power here. You know, are we seeing power creep here, or are we just seeing some really clever design? I think personally a bit of clever design, but it's still an interesting card.
Yeah, I think this is clever design. I think this functions for quite a lot of different decks, and it, you know, Moxes are supposed to be powerful because it's essentially another land drop for free with like an artifact on top for other synergies, you know. So the fact that it doesn't necessarily tap for mana the turn that you play it isn't actually such a bad thing, because it goes for affinity decks, it goes for card draw for artifact decks. You know, there's lots of different reasons to include this outside of Dragon. So it goes in Magda 100%.
Yeah,
because, you know, even if, you know, you have dragons in that deck anyway, but even if you're not using it immediately, you can use it for other things. Even if it's untapping for Clock of Omens, it's doing another function nonetheless.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'm looking forward to seeing this out in the wild a little bit more. John, why don't you talk to us about another card? Bring us another one.
Oh, I will also pick another. I'm going to go for one that I think is going to fly under the radar a little bit. I think this is great. It's Static Snare. This is an uncommon for an enchantment for 4 and a white, but costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature. And when this enchantment enters, exile target artifact or creature an opponent controls until this enchantment leaves the battlefield.
Yeah.
The important thing about this text is, so sure, you're going to include this if you're making a lot of tokens. But because it's got flash, it doesn't care who's attacking. So if somebody else has more creatures than you, you can flash it in and get rid of a problematic blocker, effectively maybe even taking a player out with a move like that. I think this is great. This is excellent. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this. I'm excited by this. Sure, 5 mana feels like a lot on the face of it, but you are often paying 1 mana for this.
Yeah, I agree. Dom, thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's just great.
Yeah. No, what
what do you say? That's
There's nothing more to say about it.
Simply, there is nothing much more to say about this. But I do think there's some good utility on this. Like Flash, I love Flash. I know Flash is very, very, very powerful, particularly when you're talking about enchantments here as well. But it's a very powerful effect. But again, we've got some interesting design here because, it is. John's right. You're probably paying 1, maybe 2 for this a lot of the time. But if you've got in a control-y style deck, which is what my eyes look at this card a little bit, is yes, you may have to pay more to do what you need it to do. But also this has got potential for flickering as well. This could be, there's some good utilization here. Obviously the flickering. Obviously you will still have them come back in when this leaves. So it's not like you're flickering to exile everything. That's not quite how this one works. But it's still a really good piece. And I think that flash is just, that's the difference. That's the difference. That's the difference with this card between, this could be really, really good. And it's a great way of exiling some cards. Yeah, 100%.
There's 3 decks I can immediately think of that I'd love to put this in. Kithis, because it's an Enchantress deck, but also, oh god, the names escapes me, but it's the newer one from Master of the Machine Aftermath that you make a copy of enchantments. Also, that I can't remember its name, but making multiple copies of this is great. But also, I've just thought of another one, Elish Norn, because you're often making a lot of attacking tokens with my Rel. But also it goes in Amanar to Veil Piercer because it's reduced by 4 just from the miracle.
Yeah.
So it goes in loads. This is great. This is a great casual card. It's not going to be breaking, but when you have it, I don't think you're going to be that sad to see it because there is somebody who's going to reduce that cost for you. It's either going to be yourself or it's going to be one of your opponents.
100%.
You can even get rid of one of the creatures attacking you with this.
Yeah, of course.
It's great. I agree with you. Yep, I agree with you. It's fantastic. I think that's really, really good. Also, notably a nice promo pack border as well. I always do like the promo pack ones. Subtle, but they're normally tastefully really, really nicely done. Dom, take it away with another one.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with a legendary creature that they've revealed from the set, and it's Kotis the Fangkeeper. So,
I saw this.
So it's
this is cool.
One black, green, blue. It's a 2/1 zombie warrior with indestructible. It's a great keyword. And whenever Kotis deals combat damage to a player, you exile the top X cards of their library, where X is the amount of damage dealt. You may cast any number of spells with mana value X or less from among them without paying their mana costs. So if you can pump the power up here, get it through, say you get his power up to 5, you're looking at the top 5, and you can cast any number with mana value 5 or less from among them. Normally, it's going to be 2, but you're in green. There are numerous ways to give this guy so much power. I mean, you're in black, so say it's EDH, you can, can't remember, Hatred, and give him...
Oh god, Hatred,
Plus 10 power, look at the top, cast anything with mana value 12, or... come on.
Wow.
It's, Indestructible. Really,
I really like this card. I don't like that it's 4 mana, but you know what? I understand why it is 4 mana. And like you said,
indestructible, right?
green,
So,
yeah, it's indestructible. But also you can put things in like Oran Frostfang to give it Death Touch. So when people are like, don't really want to block this, sort of trample effects with or Beastmaster Ascension, that sort of stuff to pump it out. This is going to be very strong. It's so hard to deal with.
Yeah, indestructible. This is a prime target, notably for the -3/-3 behold spell that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I was going to say this is exile or bust, but -3/-3 will definitely deal with this. Yeah, that's a very fair point.
Unless he's a 10/10 because of all the equipment you've stacked onto him.
Yeah, then you've got bigger issues to worry about at that moment time. Amazing. Okay, so next card I'm going to talk about. This one's a bit more of a pet one for me, and there is blue and white involved, Dom. I know.
Of course there is. Yeah.
But I have grown, so I've splashed red into it, and it's a nice Jeskai card.
Okay.
Narset Jeskai Waymaster. So this is
so good.
This is a blue, red, white for a 3/4. At the beginning of your end step, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw cards equal to the number of spells you've cast this turn. I think this is really interesting. Really, really interesting card. Not only do I love Narset, I think she's a fantastic character. I've always loved a lot of the her namesake sort of cards that have come forward, including the Planeswalkers.
I think they've been really powerful.
Yeah, they've always had a really interesting build around. I am a big fan. I know Azorius is my favourite colour, but Jeskai would be my close second, if not my favourite tricolour.
I'd agree. Yeah,
I think it's definitely a bit of me. But I'm really excited to build this, and I am going to probably build this with... this is probably going to be my first commander I build from this set, because I am really looking forward to doing some fun things with this. And interestingly enough as well, there is the accompanying dragon, which has just gone from my head, which was showcased at the same time.
Shiko.
Yes. I think, Shiko, Paragon of the Way. I think these two together, I think, are going to work quite nicely as well. Not only because they're in the same sort of colours, but you're putting things into your graveyard. Shiko, you're looking to play stuff with mana 3 or less from the graveyard. You can copy it without paying its mana cost. I think these things work really nicely hand in hand. I'm looking forward to doing something. I know I've had a bit of a 2-for-1 there with these cards, guys, but these two working together, I think is quite nice. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Narset. Fantastic.
All of this stuff goes in my Narset Enlightened Exile deck, because that's all about getting cards from your graveyard. Yeah. But what I really like about this Narset in particular is you can put a lot of cheap instants and stuff that don't necessarily cantrip, but just get you like pump effects or whatever, and then you've used your hand, and then you're drawing your hand back, so you're getting interaction again. I think it's great, and it's a May ability, so you don't have to discard. And if you did discard, then you can put things in like Surly Badger Sword just for the extra discard effects. There's the name escapes me. Real, is it, where you discard a card, you draw 2, something like that, which is cool in this.
I do know what you mean.
Or you could even be even weirder, and there's that is it card that instead of drawing a card, you exile that card from your library. So basically you're not playing with your hand anymore, so you don't discard anything. You're just exiling and casting from exile instead.
I think there's so much you can build around this. I kind of like this as almost a bit of like a wheels deck as well, but also I think almost like
it'd be really good
with a prowess sub theme to this. I think would be really good, like a nice low to the ground prowess deck. I think this could be really good, because I think this would just restock your hand constantly. Well, not constantly, but do you know what I mean? Like, you can do what you need to do. You can put your establishing cards. You play your establishing cards. You have to ramp yourself up a decent amount. And then, your new hand, hopefully you've got some interactions here and that sort of stuff. I think there's lots of ways to build this. I think this is a bit of me.
So I would say with this sort of deck, you want to put in things like untap effects, so Icicle Scepter, or you could put in the new one from Aether Drift, which is 2 and a blue, untap all your non-land permanents.
Yeah.
Because you're casting so many spells from your hand in your turn, you're likely going to tap out. So you want to make sure that's why they need to be cheap effects, but also so that you can still interact with the board, because this only triggers on your end step.
Yeah, exactly. Which is important to note. Yeah, I like this. I think this is probably at the minute could be the first one I build from this. This is for sure.
It's interesting because they have also revealed the Commander decks as one for each clan, and in the Jeskai one, she is on the same card as the dragon.
Yep.
Yeah, she
which
is
kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that. I think it's going to be I'm actually thinking of picking that deck up actually, because I think there's going to be a lot of cards that I'm going to want.
I think it's going to be very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I feel very much the same way as well. There's going to be a lot in here that's going to just go in so many decks.
Yeah, definitely. Why don't you grab us another one then, John?
Okay, so the one I really enjoy is All Out Assault. And this is an enchantment for 2 and Mardu, so that's red, white, and black.
Yeah.
Creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Death Touch. And when this enchantment enters, if it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase, followed by an additional main phase. Then when your next attack step, untap each creature you control.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is great. This feels like they've added that it has to enter to make it fair, but you are in white, the flickerest of colors.
Yep.
So there are definitely ways for you to get this in and out as many times as you want.
100%.
Very easily.
100%. And I actually, this was also on my list, because I think this is a fantastic card. It's interesting. Obviously, you normally see extra combat steps with the red, so hence why we've got this. I think something like this, I mean, you can put it in all sorts of like really interesting decks. I weirdly thought this might be quite good in like a Vampires Beatdown deck, like an Edgar Markov.
It'd be
beatdown.
very good.
Yeah. And I think this would be another. I mean, that's a very powerful deck anyway, but I think this would be a really powerful to help finish it off, or at least fully stabilize. And also enchantments, I mean, people just don't run enough enchantment removal, so there's a degree of safety in that already.
I mean, even if
this goes in,
half the damage is already done, because you're still going to get your additional combat phase.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So when it enters, right? So
yeah. So this goes in Trin and Silver by Mardu Sacrifice deck straight away. It's great in there, but it just does so much. It's like any deck that runs it. Edgar Markov will want this because you make loads of little 1/1s all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's basically what Mardu does, right? There's Kaiser from Fallout that will want this deck because you're making lots of little 1/1s. So, and because his is an attack trigger, you get an additional one on your next combat. Yeah, it's good.
All these new mobilized cards.
Yep.
Extra combat step is extra creatures.
I was literally about to say that. You've also, like, obviously this would be in the 99, but if you've got like sort of like Rafine in this, you're just creating more soldiers. You're getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you've got that, you know, in these colors what we've already discussed, if you've kind of got that sort of it's just gone from my head, the aristocrat themes, which is traditionally in this Mardu color. I mean, you're a double-edged threat here, because not only are you looking at just creating tokens and maybe sacrifice them for value, but you're also looking to create them in these extra steps. You know, you could sacrifice them for more, you know, mana value. If you've got, I mean, particularly if you've got like pump lands or something like that, something that you can utilize into these, and each combat step you can put back into more and more and more. I mean,
this fits perfectly to one of the commanders I'm sort of immediately drew to, which was Zergo Stormrender, because this guy says whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, draw a card if it was attacking, otherwise each opponent loses a life. Yeah. And it's got mobilize 1, so like you make loads of tokens, and if it dies because it was blocked, you draw a card, and if not, then it goes at end step because of mobilize, and then it deals extra damage. It's
we are on the realms of this is a fantastic card, and I can't wait to cast this and start using this. It's gonna be brilliant. Cannot wait. Dom,
could be great. Yeah.
drag us another.
Right. Right. It's the dragon set, so it would be remiss of me not to mention what I think might end up being the biggest dragon in the set. I'm sure they'll prove me wrong as the previews start coming out, but this one is another legendary creature, Ureni, the Song Unending. 5 generic.
Oh,
green, blue, and red. It's a 10/10 spirit dragon.
Yes.
With flying.
Yep.
Protection from white and from black.
Oh yeah. Noticeably
the removal colours.
Yeah, the removal colours. Yeah.
The removal colours. Yeah.
Just got to be sad when he gets pongified or something, but there we go.
That's fine.
But when Ureni enters, it deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers your opponents control, where X the number of lands you control. So if you're in a land deck,
Team of land decks are a thing, man. Do you know what I mean?
Team of land decks are a thing.
Yeah. Let's say I've got 9 lands. You've just played your Ugin. This comes in. Oh, pop! There goes your Ugin. There we go.
You know what? This goes really well with Terror of the Peaks.
Oh yeah. So interestingly, I can't remember if this was pre-pod or whatever we discussed as pod. I was saying to the guys that I'm looking to build the it's gone from my head. The team of Dragon Commander that is absolute filth. Miriam. And this is a shoe-in into that. I mean, get copies of this. Oh yeah, I mean copies of this. I mean, yeah. So actually, this is interesting because this also was a card that I looked at. Not only did I think this would go really nice in Miriam in the 99, but I did also think this could be a really interesting Dragon-y boy to build as a commander. So, yeah, this is powerful, man.
Protection from white and black, do not underestimate the amount of times I've been sat across the board from an Animar and no one can remove it because you've got your multicolored spell in your hand that happens to white pip and you can't do anything about it.
Board wipe or bust, really, isn't it?
It's a 10/10. It's no Dragon, but the ETB is incredible, honestly.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think they're phenomenal. Awesome card. Okay, let's do one more each. I'm going to talk about another one that I'm excited about, but then I'm going to talk to you about why I might not be excited about, which is an enchantment called Dracogenesis. This is 6 generic mana and 2 red. This is an 8 mana enchantment. Sounds expensive, doesn't it, guys? But then when you read the text, you may cast...
What colours is this in again?
Yeah, you may cast dragon spells without paying their mana cost. I mean... Oh, baby.
You know what I immediately thought of when I saw this? I was like, I'm going to hit somebody with Cavern Horde Dragon, make 8 treasures, cast this, win. Like, that is...
Yeah. Old Norb, right?
Red is the color of rituals. You can get this easily. 8 mana is sure. It sounds like a lot, but
dragon in for free.
Exactly. Like we are talking about noticeably is in red. I've just been talking to you about building Teema. So I'm all over this. My only one caveat with this is that like Omniscience, this is a big mana spell and is going to probably attract, you're probably going to tap out to play this. And I tell you what's going to really feel bad if someone negates this or mental missteps or something like that. That's going to be exactly a mana drain. Exactly, that is a sweet target. I mean, I'd snap that off before they'd even said, "Oh, Draco mana drain." They'd be straight out there. It'd be flung out there. It'd be so quick. I'd have to play my card and then tap my mana. That's how quickly it'd come out. But I think this card, as powerful as it is, I think it's a very noticeable card, like Omniscience. Yes. And because of that, is going to be snap countered within an instance of a second. If anyone's got it, like any big game-ending spell, This is gonna cause some ripples.
If you play this, as long as you've got a dragon or two in your hand, if you get them out from it, you're not sad if it gets removed after that.
I mean, if you're in your first main phase and you've got an anger in your bin as well, I mean,
yikes.
Yeah, I mean, someone's going to be taking a bonk on the head. That's for sure.
There's plenty of enchantments in dragon colors that give you haste.
Exactly.
And the ancient dragons from Baldur's Gate give you like loads of effects. You can get Old Gnawbone gives you treasures. You can get card draw. You get treasures from the red one as well.
Yeah,
there's like loads,
the black one that drags creatures back from your graveyard. Like, the blue one that draws you cards. There's so many. They're all good.
But so we are talking. It is a powerful card, but I must have to say, it is Magical Christmas Land. But the stars will align on this. Like, I think there'll be a few times when you have this and you can't cast it, and it'll feel bad. But the times that you can cast this, you're going to feel unbeatable.
There's two other things I want to add to this as well. Enchantment. We've just been talking about. There is, in my opinion, anyway, there's a significant lack of enchantment removal knocking around. Creature removal, fine. Enchantment or artifact, you do see less of that, 100%. What I would also arguably say is, if you're going to cast this and it gets countered, it's going to suck, do not get me wrong. But realistically, you've probably got a handful of big boy dragons, so you're just going to have to cast in the old-fashioned way. So it's not like...
And then punish whoever removed it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Dom's going to counter this, and I'm going to swing an Ur-Dragon into him because of, why not, or whatever, I can see this happening.
But do you know what is sick that you can do with this? Because if this is again Magical Christmas Land, but I enjoy this nonetheless. You've got Draco Genesis out, you're casting loads of dragons, then you Dragon Storm. That's the name of the movie, and then you just get everything else out.
Yeah, boy.
Again, changing decks. Does this go into your Scarecrow deck? If it's all changelings, probably, because every time you cast something, it removes a permanent, right? So
so that Reaper King deck, that is absolutely vile. My only thing I would say, well, the reason why it's vile is because it's just absolutely it's just exile on a stick, basically. You play a changeling or a Scarecrow, bang, I'm going to exile this, and it's any target, if I remember right, or non.
It's just another in that kind of changing deck. It's another copy, as long as you're in blue, of Rooftop Storm, right? So it's redundancy as well. Yep. It's another way to draw that type of card that's just going to reduce the cost of all your creatures to 0, effectively.
Yep, I think that is a decent shout. Also, I know we've already spoke about this previously, but just one final call out: the alternative art with the alternative border in this looks hot as anything. Like, this is dragontastic, and I'm all about this. This is so good. I think in foil is going to look brilliant on this as well.
That's like the dragon scale border, so it's like dragon's wings and kind of scaly up the side and around it. Yeah.
It's going to look. Oh my god, I can't wait for this. Oh, John, talk to me. What's your last card you want to talk about?
Speaking of making this cost cheaper, we have Teema Battle Crier. This is a 4/3 Orc Ranger for green, blue, red, and during your turn, spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each creature you control with power 4 or greater.
Ooh,
in the color of big, beefy boys.
Yeah.
This is great.
It's just
so
great.
good.
Yeah,
it is.
There's not many cost reducers that scale up as the more cards you play, is there really? Most of them give reduced by 1, whereas this can start getting crazy. Every spell you cast at a reduced cost is going to further reduce it.
What I really like about this as well, because it's in Teema, you can use it to sort of... You can use it as a double convoke almost, because it'll reduce the convoke, and then you can also tap the creature to convoke.
Mm-hmm.
And also what you can do is X spells that draw you cards in blue is great. Yeah, it's just it'll feed your hand again, and obviously it'll just reduce all your already bigger spells.
Yep, I think this would probably sit It may not be a dragon, but I think this would probably sit in my team of dragons. To be honest,
in dragon decks.
It'll be
yeah.
It's like the goblins that reduce the cost, right? It's
exactly.
they're your support cards that let you get the dragons out.
Enough, there's a lot of cards out there that's with power 4 or greater that has payoffs for card draw and all sorts of stuff. So I mean, this really is this is a nice little one. Also, just 3 mana for 4/3 is still not bad, really, is it?
No, it's not. 4/3 for 3 mana is excellent. And also, actually, because it reduces all spells, so it does work with Harmonize as a mechanic.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh yeah.
I like that a lot. Yep. That's a really good one. I like that one. Go on, Dom. Let's finish you up with a good one.
I'm going to finish up with a reprint.
Nothing wrong with that?
I think. It's going to be the Crater Hoof Behemoth.
Oh baby. Yep. He's back. The boy is back in town, isn't he?
Most people know what this does, but it's 5 generic mana and 3 green pips. It's a 5/5 with haste. When it enters, creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control.
Classic green finisher in Commander.
Yep. I've died to this card so many times, and a reprint is always welcome.
100%.
And this one looks awesome. It's like a huge green mammoth. Yeah. Very cool.
I mean, this has been an expensive card for a little while, so it's nice to see it reprinted. In like lots of different frames as well, so hopefully that's going to drive it down somewhat. So nice to see, for sure. Yeah.
Giving it the alt art treatments, and the flavor text on this one is amazing. It's just some days you wish you were fighting a dragon.
Look. It might just be a reprint, and it may be a card that most Commander players have heard of. But John's right; it's still holding a pretty penny. It's always nice to have a reprint like this. I'll be honest with you as well. We I can't remember if the last reprint of Crater Hoof was the Secret Lair drawings one.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I think it would have been. Yeah.
And you know what? I wasn't a big fan of those ones, so it's nice to have a copy of this. I mean, I love there's 3 art styles on this, and all 3 of them I'd quite happily have. They all look fantastic. Even the basic one looks great.
There was another one in Commander Masters, wasn't there? I think.
Oh yes, you are right. That was the it was a reprint in the original
frame thing.
That's right. Yeah. So it's nice. It's always nice to have more options as well. This is really cool. I actually really like that they've like made like a mammoth out of it as well. Changed it up a bit. Still a beast. Yeah,
it's still a beast, and printing into standard is an interesting one.
Yeah,
especially with all the elves in foundations that are about. I think this is the time for mono green Stompy for sure.
Could do, exactly. I'm not too sure. I'll be interested to see how much play in standard this sees, because it's a very particular play style. I think you need a bit more time to establish get more creatures down.
I think board fights are quite prevalent in standard right now, aren't they? So you're right. This is going to be tricky.
Yeah,
if the game's gone long and you've been wiped and you do have 8 mana, this is still a 5/5.
That is also a fair point.
I'd say it's at least a 6/6 with haste, right? Because it does pump itself.
Mm-hmm. You are right. So there is still that. It's you'd be sad to see if this was in your hand and you're going to cast next turn and someone cast a board wipe.
Yeah, it'd be devastating.
You would, unless they've got 6 health left, in which case,
then you'd be absolutely fine. Yeah, that's also a fair point. That's just over a quarter of their life. So it's also very, very.
If you've only got 7 mana, or some of your mana is elves.
It's elves. Yeah, can you imagine? Oh no, my elfie boys.
Not my dorks.
Hey, we've got the graveyard synergies coming in the set. Maybe there'll be ways to bring it out, right, for far less than 8 mana. So there's already ways in Dustborn, isn't there, to bring this out of your graveyard?
I was going to say we
into your graveyard, bring it back.
We have been seeing some graveyard shenanigans recently in previous sets. So this be interesting to see what shakes this up. So nice quick overview. Dom, I mean, I presume this hasn't. I presume your stance hasn't changed on this. I presume you're still looking forward to this more, if not less.
I think so. Yeah, having seen some of the cards, I love 3-color sets are always good. I've got a few 3-color decks, and then you see the cards that are just printed and just go straight in there. You're like, okay, yeah, bring it on. And dragons are just cool, honestly.
100%. John, thoughts?
I am very excited by this set. I've just seen a potentially combo machine, and I'm excited by this. I've missed this, so I know we've all done one more, but I feel like I need to say this one. Sidisi, Regent of the Maya, 1 black for a 1/3. Tap it, sacrifice a creature you control with mana value X other than Sidisi. Return target creature card with mana value X +1 from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. So if you have a way to untap Sidisi, then you can just keep going through your graveyard until you get the thing that you want, which is
like
cool.
your aforementioned intruder alarm, something like that.
Intruder. Oh no, we broke intruder alarm.
Oh no, not again.
The fact it's X1 is, you could keep chaining it.
Fantastic.
Up through the mana values. Yeah, it's like birthing pod from your graveyard, basically, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I think just what do we think on power levels here? Like, this? It's difficult to say. Look, these are some big dragons, there's some big cards, also with some big mana values. So, but what's the general thought of this power level in this set so far? I appreciate we are only being spoiled handful of cards. We haven't seen all the set yet, but what's the initial feeling on this one, guys?
I think it's going to be a really powerful set. I said earlier on, I don't think it's one that people are going to want to miss. This has every reminiscent for me of every set that has as like hidden gems in that you go through like a year or so later and go, oh god, this was printed. This is brutal. This is so good. Like we were talking before, Strixhaven, there were so many good cards in that set that didn't really they sort of rolled on further, like Solve the Equation or Kellen, so many good cards in that. And I feel like this is going to be very much the same. This is day one of spoiler season when we're recording this, and they do tend to do this. They tend to show super powerful cards immediately and then keep some for the end as well.
Yeah. We've still got some bombs.
The next couple of we're going to get 1 or 2 really good cards, and then we're going to get I don't want to use the term generic, but generically good Magic cards in between. But I think this is going to be a really good set for all formats. I think it's going to be a great drafting experience. I think it's going to be a great limited environment, and I think it's going to be great for Commander, Standard, and Modern. There's so many good cards here.
I 100% agree with everything you guys have said. I think this is going to be a great set. I think it's going to be a well-celebrated set as well. I think there's not much to not really like about this, I don't think. Do you know what I mean? I think this is going to be... Yeah. This also may feel like... this is good. Yeah, I think this is going to be great. I can't wait to get my hands on these cards and start casting these spells. Oh, the dragons!
Yeah, likewise.
They're gonna be coming from everywhere.
I think we're starting to see now the effect of Foundations is having, where all of the kind of generic basic cards exist within Foundations, and actually it's allowing them to kind of push the designs a little more than maybe they would have otherwise.
I mean, it's a very fair
not having to reprint those shocks and that kind of thing.
Yep.
I think they've done this to bring Kibler back into Standard, because this is basically what he played when he was in Standard, wasn't it? Elves and dragons.
Oh yeah, yeah. I tell you what, I wouldn't mind seeing him back to it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, be cool.
Dragon Master is back. John, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute privilege having you on. It's been so good to sit here and talk to you. You've clearly got a lot of insight into the game, and it shows in the conversation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I've had a blast. Love chatting with you guys anyway. I love nerding about the game, and yeah, been a lot of fun.
Just to remind us, what day is your streams and the socials where we can see you and your stuff?
So I'm across most social media. I am on the Hell site that Musk owns, but I tend not to post much on that. But you can find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, all that stuff. As either Manadork John or Brazencoalitiongames. We are on YouTube as well as Brazencoalitiongames, and we stream on Twitch every Sunday, 7 p.m. GMT or BST, depending on the time of year, 2 p.m. Eastern and 11 a.m. Pacific.
It's got all his numbers down. It's got all those numbers.
Pacific time. Wow.
Yeah.
Very practiced. Very well practiced.
That's the man. Yeah, I was going to say, that's the man that's had to say that once or twice before. Absolutely.
Yes.
Dom, any last thoughts before we sign off, my friend?
I would say get down to your LGS and try and pre-release the set. It's going to be fun. It's interesting. Last time we were at Tarkir, they had the seeded packs in your pre-release kit. So you get to pick a clan. You get, instead of 6 boosts, you get 5 boosts and the clan booster, which has cards that might help you play into that clan. So yeah, I'm excited to
give that a go. That this time as well.
They are, yeah. So it's going to be really interesting.
Oh yeah, that's going to be really good. Make sure, that's just a really good point. Get down to your LGS. Yep. Always support them if you can, and if you can get to these I think you're right. I think these pre-release events are going to be nice and spicy. That's for sure. Guys, thank you for listening and watching wherever you'll be watching or listening to this. What are your thoughts on this set? What cards have you guys seen that makes you kind of go, oh yeah, I really want to get into this? Or is this not your set? Let us know in the comments. Don't be afraid to reach out to us. We always like to hear back from listeners. Also, what do you want us to talk about next? We're always open to options, and also if there's a particular guest you want us to get on, we're always open for more names as well. But again, John, thanks for having you. Sorry, thanks for coming on, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. Dom, it's acceptable talking to you, I suppose.
You're lucky. I almost picked one of the can't be countered spells as my previous. Yeah,
I saw that. I thought, I wonder if Dom brings that up.
Maybe
yeah, maybe in the next one. Anyway, guys, thank you again, and thank you for listening, guys, and we will see you in the next pod. Until next time, bye.
Catch you later.